Ann about how it could be amended, so.
Yeah. Okay, we're ready, Council President.
We don't inspect. Correct. Okay. That was my concern there. That's what we don't inspect elevators, just to hire an outside consultant.
Okay,
Just gonna know that they're gonna be operating.
Okay. Page 4.
go ahead. On the record.
Council agenda, Township of Parsippany Troy Hills, Township Council agenda meeting of February 5th, 2019.
Posting of notice and adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the Municipal Building on December 19th, 2018, where it has remained posted since that date. A legal notice appeared in the Daily Record and the North Star Ledger on December 27th, 2018, and was forwarded by fax to other local newspapers and local radio stations on December 19th, 2018. Council meetings are videotaped and aired on Cablevision, Public Access 21 at 11 a.m. on Sundays, and also available for viewing at www.parsippany.net.
Please rise for the flag salute. Mrs. Grignani, if you would.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Here.
Ms. Grignani,
Present.
Ms. McCarthy,
Here.
Ms. Peterson,
Here.
Mr. Carriffy.
Here.
Also in attendance are Mayor Michael Soriano, Business Administrator Keith Kasmark, Township Attorney Jim Lott, and Township Clerk Colette Madden. Council President, we have a quorum. You may begin.
Thank you. Upcoming meetings, February 19th, 7 p.m., regular meeting. March 5th, 7 p.m., agenda meeting. Approval of minutes, presentations, reports. Mayor?
Today was Chinese New Year, so something we celebrated quite well at the Knoll Community Center. And it was very uplifting to see it wasn't just the Asian community that was out there. There was people from all over Parsippany there to celebrate and to explore another culture and to add it to their own. So that was a beautiful thing. So happy Year of the Earth Pig to everyone. and
I'm
good
sorry
luck
we
and
didn't know
fortune to you.
about it. We would have
Thank
been
you.
there.
We would have been there.
It's in their regular notice.
I didn't see it.
Okay.
We don't get it. You get it? I don't get it.
Also, that being said,
No.
we're going to hear more about this later on. I know that we're all enjoying the warm weather. I never thought in my life, especially years of doing construction, both on decks and outdoor, that I would be annoyed at warm weather in January. Because as mayor, warm weather in January scares me because pipes start popping. And we've had a couple of pipes breaking over the past 2 days. I think approximately 6 of them, is that correct? Our water department has been working very, very hard to stay ahead of it, to make sure that we don't have to shut off any water in Parsippany. But this is quite a problem we have with mild winters that have freezing and then warming. So expect more of the same, and we're going to stay alert on it. And again, I did this last year honoring the water department, but outstanding job by the water department. If you ever see anyone from the water department or you happen to bump into their director, he's sitting over there, make sure you shake their hand and thank them for the hard work they do for us to keeping this town going and flowing. Okay, but we're going to hear a lot more about that. It's budget season for us here in Town Hall, and we have been keeping very, very busy about making sure this budget gets presented in a timely fashion. I do not want a repeat of last year. I have come into this building on Saturdays and Sundays, and there are staff here in this building, accounting staff, working hard to get this done. There are also department heads here that have been working over the weekends to make sure this is prepared, doing whatever is necessary to get the job done. And I certainly appreciate them With that, the rest of the budget, I will defer to the business administrator, Keith Kasmark, who's been quarterbacking this and doing a very good job of getting this together so we can present it in a timely fashion, so we can present it to council and work together as a team to present a sensible budget. This is going to be a hard one for us. I'm just going to warn you on that now. And I'm going to have to make some very difficult, hard choices that are going to sting. They are going to sting. But I didn't take this on to hide from the hard choices. We'll make them and we'll do it and we'll get together through it as a town. And with that said, that is the end of my report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Council President.
Mr. Lott, Township Attorney?
I have nothing.
Business Administrator, Mr. Kasmark?
Thank you, Council President Karifi. Just to piggyback off the mayor's statements, we are in the thralls of preparing for the 2019 municipal budget. We are still on schedule to present the budget books to the council at our next council meeting, which would be February the 19th. We would then subsequently start a series of budget hearings where the council would have the opportunity to meet with the various department heads and then hopefully introduce the budget in the month of March and adopt it in the month of April. We've also started a series of staff trainings across departments, mostly having to do with customer service, and that ranges from folks on the back of sanitation trucks all the way to some of the clerical staff in various offices. So that's a series of 4 days worth of training. Each session lasts 3 hours, and we're 2 days into this. So we're trying to keep up with staff training as we start the new year. In conjunction with that, we've met with the department heads with regard to expanding the GovPilot program here in Parsippany. Certain departments have been taking advantage of that software package that the township has a contract on, and we will be expanding that to additional departments in the next several months. Probably the most pressing issue we're dealing with, and that is why our water superintendent, John Warorka, is here tonight. We've had a number of emergency breaks, mainly to do with the extreme temperature fluctuations that we've been experiencing over the last couple of weeks. There are 2 resolutions tonight on the agenda for adoption, both under non-consent, which have to do with an emergency water break that occurred under Route 10 and a subsequent water emergency having to do with Well 19. The third issue that John is here to answer any questions about has to do with the rejections of bids, which there's a resolution on for consideration for the next council meeting, but listed on tonight's agenda, having to do with the rejection of bids for the SCADA system, which was estimated at $200,000 less than the bids actually came in. So we are going to have to rebid that through Mr. Hardy's office, and we are probably going to have to do a supplemental bond ordinance in order to move forward with that project. So I don't know if, John, you want to just come up, give the council a synopsis of the 2 emergencies that are listed on the agenda here tonight, and then subsequently if you could talk about the 6 breaks we've experienced over the last 72 hours or so, that would be great as well. Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, Council. I'm John Weeworker. I'm the Water Superintendent. I'm here tonight to just give you a report of some emergency situations that Keith has just gone over with you. The first is our Well 19. Well 19 is one of the largest producing wells in our distribution system, and when it is in operation, it produces 1 million gallons a day. The reason the emergency declaration is twofold on this well. First, we have 2 other wells out of service, Well 8 and Well 20, making this repair an urgent matter. Second, we need this facility in order to maintain the integrity of our distribution system. This well failed on us. We weren't able to bring it back online. We had to bring in some emergency contractors. This past December, we took it out of service. The emergency contractors have disassembled the entire pump, the column pipe, the motor, wellhead, and the right angle drive. During the inspection, it was determined everything below the wellhead and motor was beyond repair, and needed to be replaced. A new pump, all the column pipes, bearings were ordered. The wellhead is being rebuilt. We are waiting on the delivery of the new equipment next week. The remaining rehabilitation work will take place late spring, early summer, which we have out to a public bid. This well was originally part of a public bid, but because of its untimely failure, along with the other 2 wells out of service, this became an emergency. We have to have this well back immediately. And that's the first one, that's the well. The second is a water main break under Route 10. This one's a rather serious one. On January 16th, we responded to a water main break at the Cedar Brook Apartments off of Route 10, a property that's along a retaining wall to the state highway, and it's also against the railroad tracks. We attempted to repair the situation, but found it was broken inside a 24-inch casing under the highway. It was well out of reach. This break resulted in the loss of water to over 800 residents of the Mountain Club and Karen's Road. We had to make some temporary improvements to isolate this broken water main from the system and provide drinking water to those residents. As it stands today, the pipe under Route 10 is isolated from the system but remains broken. Route 10 acts as a barrier to our distribution system. The distribution system was designed to operate with 2 pipe crossings, a loop system, an eastern loop and a western loop. The eastern loop is what broke on us. The crossings serve the Powder Mill South, Glenmont Commons, and Greystone Hospital. With only 1 water main crossing the Route 10 in operation, this utility is left without redundancy and is vulnerable should the remaining crossing experience a break. The consequences of an additional failure to the second pipe crossing would be catastrophic to the operation of the distribution system and to the public health and safety. Thousands of residents would be without water. This pipe crossing happens to be in a difficult area. To the north, we have private property, Cedar Brook condominiums, and NJDOT's bridge and retaining walls. To the south, we have Karen's Road, a dead end, and another retaining wall. The NJDOT will not allow us to use conventional construction to open cut Route 10 for obvious reasons. There's also structures involved, and the depth of the pipe that needs to be put in is over 16 feet deep. We are planning to bore a new casing pipe and water main under the highway. We have met with the DOT, and we are working on a solution. Currently, they are not in favor of us boring a new casing under the bridge retaining wall where our infrastructure exists. Our engineer is in discussions with them, trying to work out the details. We have met with the condo association property manager to make them aware of the situation and what our needs are. Our engineer has performed some surveying and geotechnical work to get this process started. Depending on the DOT's final response, the cost could be between $500,000 and $1 million. And that's the Route 10. And you asked me to report on.
Yeah, if I may, I just want to make a few comments on the emergencies, if I may. First, just for the council's edification, we have set up procedures now within the township that in the event of an emergency like the 2 that John has just described, the notification process of declaring that emergency has now been set. I reviewed that with Mr. Lott. It is set by statute throughout the state, but internally what will happen is the department head who's experiencing the emergency will contact me. I will then contact the mayor and the council president, because in almost every case there's going to be a council resolution that's going to be required to declare that emergency, and then a second resolution that's going to be necessary in order to expedite funding to deal with that emergency. And then from there, the clerk will alert the rest of the council once contact's been made with the council president. The one thing I do want to thank John for, especially on the Route 10 issue, and then subsequently what he'll describe to you with the most recent breaks, that night we ran the risk of having that entire apartment complex without water. And it was due to John and his team down at the water department that they came up with a temporary solution using fire hose, but to provide water distribution to that complex in the overnight hours before they came up with an alternative plan to continue to provide water while this was broke. So I just want to commend him and his team for doing that. I'm sure those residents appreciate that, and they did a tremendous job that evening.
Yes, that was a difficult night.
I could sense it in your voice. John, if you could just run us through the last couple days.
Last couple days, well, we've experienced temperature swings from 0 to 65, I think we hit today. Those kind of temperatures make us nervous in the water department. We were, I guess, a 3-4 day period with the hard freeze, and now we've had a couple day period with the nice warm temps. That whole process causes the ground to not cooperate with our infrastructure, which is aging. The majority of the pipes that we're seeing breaking are cast iron pipes, mainly from the mid-50s. They weren't bedded as we bed pipes today. The standards, I don't know back then, but they aren't what they are today, and as a result, cast iron is a brittle material. Any movement in the ground or any subsequent liquidity to the soils causes it to break. And we experienced, in the last 2 days, we've had 6 breaks, and over the past week, I believe we've had 9 or 10. My crews have been working tirelessly day and night, trying to keep on top of this. We got a call at 3:30 in the morning this morning for a main break that we had in Lake Hiawatha. Most of our breaks have been in Lake Hiawatha. We've had a few scattered elsewhere, but for the majority, we've been seeing Lake Hiawatha as our main area of concern.
So with regard to that, I think at this point, John, we've handled them all in-house, correct?
Yes, we have.
Okay, there was the possibility, when we were actually talking about it during the Super Bowl, that there was the possibility, it was a very boring game, but there was a possibility that we might have to, just because the crew down at the water department was so overextended, that we might have to call in a private contractor. But again, thanks to his team, we did not have to do that, and knock on wood, over the next couple days, we're not required to do so. So, any questions from the council?
John, I just want to say, and I'm sure I speak for the rest of the council, I know you said 9 or 10 so far this year, and I know
No,
that-
not this year,
or
this week.
This week. Well, it might be this year anyway, 'cause it just turned into the new year, but I know last year we had a lot of them as well, correct?
That is correct.
And I just want to say thank you to your, the men and women from your department, because I know last year was really a tough year, and they did a great job. So, thank you again for all of us.
Yes.
I'd like to thank all of you. Thank you, and they appreciate the compliment.
And just before we close, Council President, through you, are there any questions about the rejection of the bid on the SCADA system? If not, we will plan to rebid that and work with Ms. Cucci's office to expedite an additional supplemental bond ordinance to cover the difference.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, John.
No questions? Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Okay, Township Clerk, Mr. Madden.
No report at this time, Council President. Thank you.
Okay, Township Offices, Committees, Reports.
Not at this time.
No? Okay, Engineering Report, Lake Parsippany Road Improvements, Phase 6 project. Construction of the 6th phase of Lake Parsippany Road Improvement Project remains in progress. Water main installation and bacterial testing have delayed the project. Work will continue as long as the weather is favorable and will be completed in the spring. No council action required. Marine Area Streets Phase 2 project, the 2nd phase of this project is substantially complete. Minor cleanup items will continue as long as the weather is favorable. Final restoration will be completed in the spring. No council action required. Mount Tabor Area Streets Phase 3 improvement project. Construction on this project is approximately 40% complete. Work is stopped for the winter and will continue in the spring. No council action required. Drainage issues, engineering and the Public Works Department are still investigating numerous drainage issues. The Cherry Lane issue are still being evaluated, but the wet weather has delayed some of our ability to get equipment on site to investigate more thoroughly. Crews have inspected drainage lines and will continue to investigate until the source of the problem is identified. Several other drainage concerns in town are being investigated, including one on Old Dover Road near Union Hill Road. No council action required. Edgewood Court reconstruction project. This project is for the reconstruction of Edgewood Court, including drainage improvements, curbs, full-depth pavement reconstruction, and sanitary sewer lining. Bids were opened on January 30th, and the recommendation to award the project to Revax Contracting is requested. A resolution will need to be adopted by the Township Council.
Can I ask a question? I don't know if this goes under engineering report or where else, but can anyone provide an update on what's going on with the wall at Waterview?
So we are currently working with both the building department and the engineering department to conduct a thorough investigation there. There is serious concern, I think probably the township's biggest concern at this point is the runoff that entered into Troy Brook.
That's right.
And how our engineering department is going to handle that. I met today with Greg Schneider from DPW and Justin Lizza from engineering with regard to that very topic. And they are working through how we're going to address that situation. So, Mayor, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to that.
No, that's something we've been concerned about for a while, the runoff at the Troy Brook, but now it's just so blatant that it cannot go on, and I want payment for it. I don't want to pay for it.
Can I put out there while you're having these conversations in root cause investigation, I was surprised as I drive by it to see no evidence of any sort of geotextile or geogrid material behind the retaining wall itself. I would think that in a wall that high, there would have been some kind of substructure material to hold the earth back should the wall itself fail, but it appears that just the wall, just the superficial facade was the only material in place. So I'm not an engineer, I don't know, but it seems to me that something wasn't in place that probably could have been. And I'm curious to know if it should have been and was omitted from the project somehow.
The unofficial report that I received was that the drainage pipe that normally goes into the basin, when they filled in the dirt, they plugged up the drainage pipe so it was clogged. So the water couldn't go through the drainage pipe into the basin, and therefore the water backed up behind the wall and just pushed the wall out.
Also, the wall that they put up was not an approved one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask
Yeah,
you.
the what was approved was not what they put up, and it was contingent upon them to come to the township and say, we're doing something else, and they submitted but did not have approval for it, and that's what they did. Also, on top of that, this is a result, and this is what happens when you have substandard unskilled labor working on something that requires skilled, trained labor.
I was just going to ask, were union workers on this job, as
No.
we were told that they would be?
No,
No.
no.
Well, thank you.
Exactly.
They originally
Right.
talked about having union workers.
Well,
but
talk
then
is
they-
talk,
and-
yeah.
But they didn't back it up.
No.
Yeah, they didn't use that.
We thought they were gonna use union workers.
That's why the rat was on the problem.
You gotta go.
Okay, hold on.
I
hold on,
agree.
yeah, hold on, yeah. All right. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Bids taken, January 24th, 2019, SCADA system improvements, January 30th, reconstruction of Edgewood Court, February 1st, Knoll West Country Club irrigation system replacements, February 1st, rehabilitation services for wells 12, 17, and 19. To be taken February 14th, laboratory improvement project, and quotations, proposals, qualifications, none. At this time, entertain a motion to open up the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
Okay, the floor is open to the public on any matter.
Okay, if you do come up, please state your name, your address. You'll be given 5 minutes.
My name is Mike Polsinelli, 50 Parsippany Road. I'm a business agent for the Electrical Union, Local 102. I have 39 years in the local, and I think I spent my entire career in Parsippany. I think I built every office building that's in Parsippany. First, I want to comment about Waterview. Waterview would have never, ever happened if it wasn't for the building trades, because Mountain Lakes was fighting it.
Sir, if
And
you could just face the council when you speak, don't face the audience.
Mountain Lakes was fighting it, and the building trades came out in force. And at the time, it was under the understanding that the building trades was going to build that job. Well, we met with one of the investors, and before the council meetings, he was telling us the questions to ask, which we didn't need to know because we knew what we had to ask. And to make a long story short, we didn't get a sniff of that job. Joe Forgione promised us. Steve Califer, who owns the car dealerships down in Flemington, he owns the minor league baseball team. So everybody promised us everything, and you see what you got with the wall? That's the small wall. What about the big wall on Waterview? I mean, if somebody gets hurt over there, if that wall collapses on Waterview, somebody is going to get hurt. And that was the small wall that just collapsed. So you get what you pay for. It's the bottom line. All we want to do as union members is work. We coach all the sports. We pay our taxes. We go overseas to fight. So all we want to do is work. It's not hard to figure out. So that's my thing on Waterview. The next thing I want to talk about is Stanberry. I represent Morris County. I also represent Warren County. I'm president of Warren County Building Trades. I just closed a deal at Ingersoll Rand in Warren County. It's 4 million square feet with bridge construction, 100% union. 100% union. So this is Warren County. I grew up in Warren County originally. The next thing I want to just bring up is the Stanberry project. I handle all Morris County. Every county in Morris County is doing this millennial thing. They want to live, work, and play where they live. Restaurants, shopping. If this Stanberry job does not go through, Parsippany is losing out. I'm telling you right now. Look at Morristown, Mendham, Chatham, Madison. Every town in Morris County is doing this right now. And if Parsippany misses out on it, you're not going to like what they're going to put there. So I just wanted to give you my opinion. I work, just so everybody knows, I do all the PAL work for free, the electric. I did the signs at Smithfield Electric for free. I did the concession stands at the high school for free, free labor, free material. I did 4 houses in Morristown for Habitat for Humanity, free. I do the 4-H in Chester, free. So my local and the building trades do a lot for this community, and the people that are getting hired here don't, excuse my language, but they don't do a damn thing for this community. So thank you, council. I appreciate it, and I hope to be working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
While I'm signing in, let me comment, one of the most valuable people to the PAL that we
Yes.
ever had. Not as an individual. As a group.
I love you.
My name is Joseph Weisberg. I've been around town for, well, over 50 years. Summer resident in Lake Parsippany, and we've lived here for 41 years. So I guess I'm an old timer, almost as old time as Mike. I'm here on something positive. It was already mentioned that last winter, I don't know if you can mix the two, but was hell on wheels for everybody. We all got caught short. And I know a little bit about meteorology, and it just wasn't in the cards last year. I'm here to simply, as a citizen, to commend all of you from the top down. I've always believed that the mayor has two jobs, primarily. Keep taxes low and move the snow. We're 50% there. This was the best job I've seen in many, many years. And this is a lovely town and a fortunate town. I have friends who couldn't get, in other towns, who couldn't get off their streets for days last year. This year, some of the same things happened, but we were able to move around. So I want to commend everybody that was involved. We've got one heck of a group of workers in this town.
Yes, we do.
And I just felt somebody had to say it from the public for a change. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Nicholas Homiak, Oneida Avenue, Lake Hiawatha. I'm not going to talk about Waterview because it shouldn't have happened. Period. The vote was no, but I'd like to know where was the Morris County soil conservation people? Did they ever look at that site? That every time it rains, the soil's going all over. The Troy Brook water study, that whole area was recommended for a biodiversity for preservation, like this town fought for years, that you know, Paul, and we got the no vote. But our attorney at the time, Mr. Ringolsino, the conflict of interest with the developers. So the whole thing is a crime scene. I can't get over it. But anyway, we were talking about a plastic ban. The state wants to ban plastic and a local plastic ban. I sent you emails about beginning it at the Knoll. It's a pound utility, can't hurt any businesses or anything. It's our territory. They promote this stuff here. I've been cleaning up down there for over 4 years now in the river sensitive area. In the river and most people put it in the garbage. Then but there's enough people who don't. And what happens is they use the wooded area around the golf course for the convenience. So it becomes a dump. So over the years, you know how many of these? It's mostly alcohol. You heard me talk about that, but these things are all over the place. I talked with Kirk Dombrowski about it. He doesn't have any objections. They just have to find something better. But this stuff never goes away. And you want to know what? This is easy here. When this stuff starts disintegrating, you know how tenacious you have to be to clean this stuff out of the environment? And the other type, like those coolers, breaks into little pieces. This stuff is evil. It's evil. They got a thing going on now, you know, another 7-Eleven coming to town, and they're having problems already with the traffic and the trucks. Well, don't forget, you're going to get more of this stuff and the other plastic waste. And we just shouldn't have to keep on tolerating this for some corporation to promote. It's not convenience, it's pollution. It's instant waste. And I put in a request to find out the resolution 2018-188. I hate to bring it up, but I guess I'm not going to get an answer because I can't believe that we're being sued by RD, developer. I mean, they've been screwing us over ever since that whole Waterview thing started. And now we're being sued? We should be suing them. We should be suing them for this public housing thing. I was there in the court that day with Mr. Ringolsino. could have dismissed it with, you understand what I'm talking about here?
No.
Your Honor?
Let's end, when you're done, we'll.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, but,
Very quick question for you. You requested a resolution?
no, I requested the Exhibit A that's not included,
We don't have that on file. That's why we don't have
but it
anything.
says it's made available to the public.
Yeah.
And
We'll
it
have
says
to.
see, Exhibit A. I want to see Exhibit A, I can't see it, so there's no transparency there, but,
Well, there's transparency. There can't be transparency if we don't have the document, Nick. That's the problem.
well, according to this.
That
it-
agreement
it
has
lea-
to be modified.
Yeah, it leads to believe that we should.
Yeah.
But
Totally agree.
how are we being, I just can't believe that we're being.
What does that resolution authorize? I'm not familiar with that.
It's an agreement with the Affordable Housing Settlement. We were sued by RD. They allege that we didn't let them, the original development, they wanted to put affordable housing in there. They were using it as a fear tactic at the time. Give us the mall, or we're gonna put public housing in there. But they couldn't put public housing in there if they'd done it right, because it's environmentally sensitive. Steep sloped, it was all protected by the policy of COA itself. And COA wasn't in operation at the time. It was being suspended and being decided by a higher court, so they tried to throw an under-the-table thing against Parsippany when it was the higher courts that had to decide. They wanted the court in Morristown to decide. The judge should have threw it out of court, number one, and number two, Mr. Inglesino should have dismissed it with prejudice. He brought this on the town, this lawsuit. This lawsuit is totally unnecessary. And I was there in court that day. I know what I witnessed. I know what I witnessed.
1 minute, Nick. 1 minute.
All right, I'll leave it at that, but let's get this plastic ban at the Knoll Golf Utility. It's a small thing and it's harmless, but we could at least set an example, and hopefully it'll be passed on a higher level. But this stuff is bad news.
So Nicholas, just, I want you to understand some of the confusion that's here. You started off saying you were not going to talk about Waterview, and you ended off your thing talking about RD Realty, and I'm like, is this
Because-
another, stop, this is my turn now. Is there another lawsuit that you're talking about, but then you did wind up talking about Waterview anyway, so just, you understand where that disconnect is. You started saying you weren't going to talk about Waterview, then you did start talking about Waterview at the end there. But,
In a way,
well, yeah, I mean, that was Waterview, right?
resolution 2018-188.
Which has to do with,
Affordable housing.
which
and
has to do with
Waterview.
what land? Waterview, exactly. That's,
The crime scene over there.
right.
It's not your fault, Mr.
We will,
Mayor.
I know.
It's not your fault.
I
but
have no guilt with it, but I'm
But-
just trying to
It's-
help you answer your question.
Apparently, it's not over yet because the citizens of Parsippany are paying legal fees for another lawsuit concerning that landscape.
Another, what other
It's
lawsuit?
right
There is no
here in
other
the-
lawsuit.
Wait, maybe you could speak to Mr. Lott when we're
All right,
done, Nick,
okay,
and
I
get
don't,
that
all right,
information.
yeah,
okay?
because I'd like to get clear myself.
Yes, I
All
would
right.
like you to get clear on this.
All right, and hopefully I will.
Okay, see no one else come forward, entertain a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion?
Second?
Motion made by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
Floor is closed.
Okay, I'd ask the council at this time to look at the ordinances.
I just have a comment, if I can, on item number 3.
Okay, go ahead.
The crane ordinance. When that was initially mentioned, I was under the impression that we would have to go inspecting cranes. But I found out now that's not true. We would simply get reports that everything's been inspected properly. So it's a paper thing for the town. It's not that we have to inspect them like we do elevators in town. And that's fine. I have no problem with
Okay,
it.
thank you. All right, non-consent agenda, Mr. DePiero, 2019-047.
Resolution 2019-047. resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany Troy Hills approving an emergency agreement with freshwater well and pump service for pump and equipment replacement at well number 19. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
R 2019-048, resolution of Township of Parsippany Troy Hills in the County of Morris, New Jersey, authorizing an emergency temporary appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-20 in the amount of $100,000 to fund the design and repair of the Route 10 South Powder Mill water main. Motion to approve the resolution?
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McCarthy, seconded by Mr. DePiero. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, while we're moving on to the consent agenda and the council members are reviewing that, I would just like to state item number 16 on there is something that I am very happy to see. I had proposed responsible bidder requirement a long time ago. I feel it is well overdue. By having this requirement here in Parsippany, this ensures us of a few things. Work is done properly is one. It is done by the right people, done safely, okay? It ensures other things such as we're meeting OSHA requirements, and also ensures that we are using U.S. citizens, legal citizens here in the country. Okay, so again, I'm very pleased that this is on here. I feel it is well overdue, and I just wanted to state that for the record. Are there any questions in reference to anything else on the consent agenda?
No.
No.
Okay. Right, approval of payroll and bills. CFO Ann Cucci recommends authorization for payment. Number one, authorized payment of February 9th, 2019 regular and miscellaneous payroll estimated at $1,700,000. Payment of bills for voucher list January 18th through February 3rd totaling $3,396,209.07. Also included is $11,221, $11,221,324 payment to the Board of Education. Motion to approve the authorization for payment.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Mr. DePiero. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Okay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Executive session resolution. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the Township Council wishes to discuss litigation, affordable housing, and whereas minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires confidentiality, the minutes can be made public. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany Troy Hills that the public be excluded from this meeting. Motion to adjourn into closed session.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Before we vote, just for the public, is there any vote going to be taken at the end of this closed session?
I was just going to announce there may be a possible vote, and there may not be. We don't know at this point in time, but there could be a possible vote, yes.
Okay. I vote yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to adjourn into closed session, and we'll be back
And
out. We
Council
may
President?
take
Yes.
action.
Go ahead. Mr.
I'm
Lyon.
sorry, just before we go in, did we omit item number B, applications, or are we going to do that at the next business meeting?
No, that goes under the, that's under the consent.
Consent agenda.
Oh, that's part of consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, hopefully we'll be back shortly.
Motion to reconvene.
Second.
Withdraw their pending appeals.
Wait.
Motion by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mrs. Peterson.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. DePiero, second by Ms. Peterson. This is to reconvene into open session. The roll call, Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
We are now back in open session.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask Ms. London to come up and give us a presentation and some information on the affordable housing.
Good evening, Council President, Mayor, council members. I just wanted to give you an update on where we are with the affordable housing litigation. We are directed to move rather expeditiously at this point. The case, as you know, goes back to 2015, and the judge in this case, Judge Neergaard, has directed the municipalities in Morris County to move as quickly as possible to try to wrap up the litigation and the plans. We've been talking for the past month or two regarding possible projects that could be part of the plan, and we're at the point now where we need to come to a conclusion, at least the closest to a conclusion that we can, regarding what projects should be part of the plan. And for that reason, it's important to take action tonight with regard to one of the projects that is being considered involving Stanberry. So I have a follow-up with the court master and Fair Share on Friday, and I'd like to report back where we are on the status. So I think it's important to move forward this evening on this matter.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to have the clerk read a ordinance for introduction.
Thank you, Council President. Ordinance 2019-01, an ordinance of the Township of Parsippany Troy Hills in the County of Morris, authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with the district at 1515 Urban Renewal LLC and granting a tax exemption with respect to that certain property identified as Block 200, Lot 1.2. Whereas the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 40A:12A1 et sec, as amended and supplemented, the redevelopment law authorizes municipalities to determine whether certain parcels of land in the municipality constitute areas in need of rehabilitation or redevelopment. And whereas by resolution on September 22nd, 2015, the Township Council, the Council of the Township of Parsippany Troy Hills, designated certain property identified as Block 200, Lot 1.2 as an area in need of redevelopment in accordance with the redevelopment law. And whereas on August 22nd, 2017, pursuant to ordinance number 2017-18, the Council adopted the redevelopment plan for Block 200, Lot 1.2, dated July 24th, 2017, with respect to the redevelopment area. And whereas on September 25th, 2018, the Township Council adopted ordinance number 2018-22, amending the original redevelopment plan for the Parsippany redevelopment area, after conducting the requisite hearings, therefore, and referral of the same to the Board for consistency review pursuant to NJSA 40A:12A7E. And whereas pursuant to the redevelopment law, including Section 8 thereof, a municipality is permitted to contract with a redeveloper to undertake redevelopment projects pursuant to a redevelopment plan within the area designated in that plan. And whereas in accordance with a redevelopment agreement approved by the council, the district at 1515 Urban Renewal LLC, an affiliate of the designated redeveloper, will redevelop the redevelopment area by subdividing the redevelopment area and creating a condominium regime on the property and undertaking demolition, environmental remediation, site improvements, and construction on the property. Whereas the entity intends to redevelop a portion of the property by, among other things, 1, pursuing subdivision and site plan approval to subdivide the Phase 1 property from the remainder of the property, 2, creating a condominium unit form of ownership in the property, a portion of which will consist of 1 or more condominium units and be improved to provide approximately 63,684 square feet of retail, and 3, improving a portion of the property which shall consist of a single condominium unit by constructing approximately 273 residential units, including no less than 21 affordable residential rental units, with the remainder to be market rate residential units. And whereas the entity intends to redevelop the remainder of the property by, among other things, 1, pursuing subdivision and site plan approval to subdivide the Phase 2 property from the remainder of the property, 2, creating a condominium unit form of ownership in the property, a portion of which will consist of 1 or more condominium units and be improved to provide approximately 36,000 square feet of retail. And 3, improving a portion of the property, which consists of single condominium unit, by constructing approximately 168 residential units, including no less than 13 affordable housing residential rental units, with the remainder to be market rate residential rental units. The Phase 2 residential component, together with the Phase 2 retail component, together with all rated site improvements as required or permitted by the redevelopment, shall be referred to as the Phase 2 project, and the Phase 2 project, together with the Phase 1 project, shall be the project. And whereas the entity made application to the township requesting a long-term tax exemption and financial agreement pursuant to the long-term tax exemption law, NJSA 40A:20-1 et sec, and the redevelopment area bond financing law, NJSA 40A:12A-64 et sec, which application is on file with the township clerk. And whereas the mayor has recommended the application be approved, and whereas after review of the application, the council now desires to approve the application and authorize the execution of the proposed form of financial agreement, in substantially the form attached hereto as Exhibit B, and by this reference incorporated herein as may be modified in consultation with council as set forth herein. And whereas the township hereby finds that the relevant benefits of the project from the redevelopment of the property outweigh the loss, if any, of property tax revenue, which relevant benefits are further described in the application and financial agreement. And whereas the township hereby determines that the assistance provided to the project pursuant to the financial agreement will be a significant inducement for the entity to proceed with the project, and that based on information set forth in the application, the project would not be feasible without such assistance. Now therefore be it ordained by the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany Troy Hills, the County of Morris, New Jersey, as follows. 1. General. The aforementioned recitals are incorporated herein as though fully set forth at length. 2. Application for exemption approved. The application, which is on file with the Township Clerk and which has been recommended for approval to the Council by the Mayor, is hereby accepted and approved pursuant to NJSA 40A:20-8F. 3. Execution of financial agreement authorized. A. The Mayor is hereby authorized to execute the financial agreement applicable to the Phase 1 project and Phase 2 project substantially in the form as it has been presented to the Council and attached hereto as Exhibit B, subject to modification or revision deemed necessary and appropriate by the Township in consultation with Council. B. The Phase 2 project shall be undertaken by the District at 1515 Urban Renewal 2, LLC, an affiliate of the entity with ownership identical to that of the entity. The transfer of the Phase 2 project, including the Phase 2 property and all rights and obligations of the entity under the financial agreement, from the entity to the district at 1515 Urban Renewal 2, LLC, is hereby accepted and approved, all in accordance with the terms of the financial agreement. C. The Township Clerk is hereby authorized and directed, upon the execution of the financial agreement in accordance with the terms of Section 3A hereof, to attest to the signature of the Mayor upon such document, and is hereby further authorized and directed to affix the corporate seal of the Township upon such document. In accordance with PL 215C:247, within 10 calendar days following the later of the effective date of this ordinance or the execution of the financial agreement by the entity, the Township Clerk shall also transmit a certified copy of this ordinance and financial agreement to the Chief Financial Officer of Morris County and to the Morris County Council for informational purposes, as well as to the tax assessor of the township. 4. Severability. If any part of this ordinance shall be deemed invalid, such part shall be severed, and the invalidity thereby shall not affect the remaining parts of this ordinance. 5. Availability of the ordinance. I don't have any the rest of it.
You should.
Yeah, I should.
Well, I may have it here.
There it is. Availability, and then you have number.
Printed out the last page. Severability?
I got that. And we have number 5. Perfect. 5. Availability of the ordinance. A copy of this ordinance shall be available for public inspection at the offices of the township. And 6. Effective date. This ordinance shall take effect according to law. Now the ordinance has been read into the record. At this point in time, we'd like a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Peterson, a second by Ms. Grignani. And we're going to do a roll call. Mr. DePiero?
Just for the record, to clarify, this pilot will not set a precedent for any other application from any other developer. We can successfully defend against that?
Yes.
Mr. Lott? Okay. I'm still uncomfortable with the pilot, but I'm going to vote yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
You know, I continue to think that this is a great project, and given the professionalism and the the dedication of the developer. I think it's a very forward-thinking development, and I think it'll just turn out to be positive. But given my past votes and my same feeling about the financial agreement, I'm going to vote no.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
And Mr. Carriffy?
I would just like to state for the record, I think this is a very good project. As far as with the pilot program, I know that the developer has agreed to do the infrastructure and the road work to the Route 10, and as far as roundabout and other improvements that will keep a lot of traffic off of Route 202, which is already very congested, which I think is a great thing. So I vote yes.
Okay, so the ordinance passes 4 yes votes and 1 no vote.
Okay, at this time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
Second?
A motion by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
We're adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.